What's up, guys? Tyler James here. It's about 9:18 on the East Coast, and I'm going to approach this as if either you're a follower to my channel, even though it's new, or you're not. If you aren't new, you know that I mostly post mock drafts, trade rumors. I just started a new series, so I've never done anything like this before. This, for those that don't know, it's a live reaction to some recent rumors that really do affect me, the channel, and a lot of different things in the NBA. So I'm just going live here, not going to edit this at all. Just going to come at you with my take on this because it really is, it hit a nerve, to say the least. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Fultz, the backstory is I'm a Boston fan. I'm an NBA fan first. Well, I'm a Boston fan first, NBA fan second, and I make t-shirts on the side. I made a t-shirt for Fultz. He retweeted, liked it. People saw it as news that he wants to come to Boston. This was a couple weeks ago. Excuse me. And ever since then, I've been on the Fultz bandwagon. As a Celtics fan, we've been through a lot of pain when it comes to those first picks. Never getting them, the Duncan era, the Greg Oden and Kevin Durant, even though that worked out in our favor. We just never seem to get the pick, even when we're favored to. And we finally got it. Man, that lottery night, one of the best nights of my Celtics life, just seeing us get that #1 pick. And I'm a big believer in Danny Ainge. In Ainge we trust. I like what he's done. I think he's the best GM in basketball, to be honest with you. But he's made some moves that I definitely wonder. But hey, every GM does. So today the rumor is, after all these different reports, that Danny Ainge from Adrian Wojnarowski, I'll try to put it on the screen, that Danny Ainge in Philadelphia are talking about a blockbuster trade that would send the #1 pick to Philly and send back, I believe it's just picks at this point, no players, just picks. Maybe the Lakers pick that the Sixers have, which would make it a much sweeter deal. But then again, I think the Lakers are going to be decent next year, so I don't really like it as much as most people do. But anyways, the deal is Celtics getting picks, Philly's getting Fultz, the #1 pick. I wrote down a few reasons I hate this, and I'll just go over them real quick. Like I said, we're going over this live. We're just gonna go for it. This is a live reaction. First off, as a Celtics fan, don't we have enough Josh Jackson type players on this roster? Last year we drafted Jaylen Brown, and I get they have different games, but wouldn't getting Josh Jackson this year potentially hurt Jaylen Brown's short-term minutes and Jay Crowder's short-term minutes even more, or actually hurt the long-term effect, the potential of Jaylen Brown? I mean, yeah, one could play the 3 and one could play the 4, but they're just too similar, and I think we might have hit a home run with Jaylen Brown, so don't mess with that. I don't like it for that. And he hasn't even worked out with us yet, Josh Jackson, that is. I get that he could be coming tomorrow in the next couple days, but you're telling me Danny Ainge wants to trade this #1 pick for somebody he hasn't even seen work out in 2017 for himself? Maybe, you know, he's gone to private workouts, and, you know, workouts aren't everything. They mean a lot, and obviously they definitely mean a lot, because we didn't see these trade rumors until the Lakers worked out Fultz and the Sixers worked out Fultz. So it isn't everything. But if I'm Danny Ainge, I at least want to see how he's, you know, faring this year, and I'm sure he's seen him, but it just doesn't make sense that we're making a deal right now when we haven't even seen the player work out that we're going for. And let me remind you, a couple years ago, when Danny Ainge tried to trade all these picks, we could potentially have none of these Brooklyn picks, from according to the rumors, for Justice Winslow. Now, Winslow's still young, I get it, but he is not a type of player you trade these picks for. We didn't know what the picks would be yet, so you can give Ainge a little credit, he didn't know yet. But only reason that deal supposedly didn't happen is because I think it was potentially with Charlotte to move up. MJ said no. If Jordan wouldn't have said no, Danny Ainge wanted that deal. We would have given away potentially the Jaylen Brown pick, potentially this #1 pick, and maybe even the next year's potential top 3 pick from the Nets for Justice Winslow. So sometimes the deals that you don't make are the best deals, and I have a feeling this could be the same thing. Another point, what about Hayward, Gordon Hayward? How does this type of move make us feel like Gordon Hayward is potentially a signing? I did hear one take on CSN, I think it was Draper or Sherrod Blakely, saying that this move actually would gain us more cap room because the 3rd pick doesn't get as much money as the #1 pick. Okay, I can see that, but really trade the #1 pick just to get a little bit more room to sign Hayward? I see it more as a negative to sign Hayward, because he is playing the same position as Josh Jackson, Jay Crowder, and Jaylen Brown. So you're bringing in another player that plays the potential position of the free agent. You're basically betting your whole summer on potentially. I just don't get it. Fultz, the fit would be perfect. He could play the 2 guard, the 1 guard. If IT does leave, I hope he doesn't, but the 1 and the 2. You can't have enough scoring in this NBA. Scores are elite. You need scores, and it feels like we go way too many times for those gritty players, which every roster needs, but sometimes you got to swing for the fences on a potential elite NBA scorer, especially with the way the league's going. And we finally got the number 1 pick. After all the wheeling and after all the times we've wanted it and never got it, Celtics fans, we finally get it, and now we might trade it for just to move down in the draft. Ainge is much smarter than any of us, but sometimes I feel like he might fall in love with certain players like Jackson because of the grittiness, and it might blind him to other certain players. We got lucky dealing those picks with Brooklyn. We got lucky that they gave us those picks, and it's kind of, even though the deal was heavily favored on our end, that doesn't mean you just give up the picks. Now, I get this draft is one of the drafts that all the players are very close. There's not huge gaps because it's such a deep draft. But, I mean, how many times can we keep trading assets for other assets or potential 1 player for 3 picks? Our future was supposed to be Jaylen Brown, this year's pick, which I was hoping was Fultz, and next year's Brooklyn pick. That's your big 3 of the future. You let them play on a winning playoff team because we're good now. And what could be more important than them playing real minutes, even if it's less minutes, meaningful games, and going to the playoffs and experiencing that with a core group that's already good, and then in a couple of years you have that big 3 of Brown, Fultz, the pick next year, or another young player you sign, and Marcus Smart and everybody else. We have no idea what the deal is yet. It's just rumors at this point, so we can't really speculate too much. Adrian Wojnarowski is one of the best sources for rumors. That's the only thing that makes it a little scary, and he makes it sound like it's just a physical for Fultz and the deal's done, like Boston's already signed off and the 76ers are just waiting to see the medical records as a final step, because obviously I think they're in love with Fultz enough to where they don't really care if it's a small medical reason. Now, I will bring up one thing. A couple days ago, take this for what you will, but a couple days ago, a friend of mine who actually is in the the Celtics business as well, he has a fairly good source and that told him that the Celtics are going to trade the number 1 pick, but the target would be Anthony Davis, and they'd be getting him eventually. I said no way. I mean, not only would that just be a blockbuster trade, but Anthony Davis hasn't complained in New Orleans. They just traded for Cousins, and they probably got to give that more time. However, the only way I would trade this pick is for Anthony Davis at this point, as far as a potential suitor. So take that for what it's worth. But they actually said that the Celtics might cancel their draft party, and that the number 1 pick was going to be traded, but it would be to get Anthony Davis. You can kind of see that happening if we're trading for picks and assets. We get that Lakers pick, we get the Philly pick, and then we're just building to send a mega deal for Anthony Davis, something they could not refuse. I could see that happening, but then again, that could be too good to be true. All I really know is, and this is looking at it from a Sixers point, is a couple years ago Embiid was my favorite player in that draft. Even with the injury concerns, he reminded me of a future Hakeem Olajuwon, even though that's a stretch. 2 years later, Ben Simmons was my favorite player because I like point forwards, big guys who can handle the ball and make other people better. And this year it was Fultz. So you're telling me Philly could have Embiid, Fultz, and Ben Simmons? I get Embiid and Simmons have been hurt. They're big what-ifs, but my God, is that a perfect fit. This deal makes so much sense for Philly, and that's why I think, and I'm worried Ainge is going to make it, because I think Philly would definitely give up more than they should to get Fultz, and they should do that. Fultz would be perfect beside Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons can bring up the ball and Fultz can play the 2 guard, or when Simmons is out or struggling, Fultz can take up the ball. He's a scorer. They don't have a scorer. Embiid can't be your top scorer. Simmons is not going to be your top scorer most likely because he's a distributor. So how perfect would Markelle Fultz be in Philly? I'm actually jealous of their future big 3 coming from the Celtics fans if this happens. But we'll end on this. It still is just a rumor. Celtics fans, as of right now, Markelle Fultz is still the future. Even though I'm panicking right now with a live video, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, and I'm still hoping it doesn't happen, especially if it's for Josh Jackson. Honestly, if we get the number 3 pick, I'm going to be very angry because we lose Fultz, but if we do, and it's Fultz, Lonzo still 1-2, take Jason Tatum then. Get the score. because I think he's going to be better than Jackson in this NBA as far as scoring and, you know, being a #1 player, while Jackson can do the things we already got as far as, you know, play defense, athletic. I want somebody I can put alongside Jaylen Brown. We've seen Jaylen Brown play a year of basketball, so I take Jaylen over Josh Jackson right now, and I want to see somebody to build around him and, you know, still build with our core with Isaiah Thomas. So this is a night where you need to comment in the comment section if you're a Philly fan, if you're a Celtics fan, if you're an NBA fan. How likely do you think this is going to happen? Do you think it's going to happen? And who do you think is getting a better deal? Is Boston finally getting fleeced in a deal? Danny Ainge, Trader Danny? Or does he have something else up his sleeve? I want to hear what you guys think. And if you want to see another one of these videos in the future, I'm not doing any editing. I'm just going to throw some images up there, so it's going to be a little less quality than usual. But like I said, if you want to see more live videos in the future, just let me know in the comments section. Episode 3 of my 3-move series was probably going to be Philadelphia, especially if there's a trade here. I will definitely release that, and it'll be with a heavy heart that I say goodbye to Markelle Fultz. But as of now, Fultz is still the future in Boston, and if I have to end with anything, unless it's for Anthony Davis, don't do it, Danny. Don't do it.